I came to Ireland to find my grandmother's village. She'd been born here, somewhere in County Clare. We moved to the States after the war and never talked much about home, except in fragments. Old phrases in Gaelic, story here and there, always around Halloween. Kind of stuff you think is just folklore until it scratches your window one night. The village wasn't on any map. Not really. A name passed down in a letter, a few hours of driving, and one awkward conversation with a farmer later. I found it. 3 cottages, a crumbling church, and a B&B that looked like it had been pieced together from spare stones and moss. I checked in. The owner, Neve, didn't smile much, but she recognized my grandmother's name, said she remembered her as a girl. That night, after dinner, I saw her placing a dish on the ground outside the front door. Bread, milk, and a coin pressed into the slice like an offering. When she noticed me watching, she explained it was Samhain, and that it was best to be respectful. Food wasn't for us, she said. It was for those who passed through without knocking. Later, when she went to bed, I stepped outside. The plate sat there, untouched. I shook my head and picked it up, thinking maybe I'd spare a hedgehog with stomachache. I didn't believe in ghosts. My grandmother hadn't either, as far as I knew. That stuff was just tradition, empty habit. I left the blade on a bench near the hedge and started walking. The path behind the village led through what used to be fields. The walls were still there, low and moss-covered, separating nothing from nothing. The fog came in quickly, low and wet, curling around my ankles like it had a purpose. A ways out, I found a ring of stones. Old, rough, waist-high things arranged in a circle. Thought they might be a fairy ring, one of those Celtic ritual sites people wrote blogs about. I stepped into the center, waited a second, and laughed to myself. Nothing happened. Then I noticed the sound, or I guess I should say lack thereof. No wind, no birds, no rustling hedges, just my own breath. Way too loud in my ears. I turned around. There was someone standing at the edge of the circle. Tall, thin, antlers? No, branches, twisted out from the sides of its head. Mist moved around it like water around a stone. Couldn't see a face, just the shape, and it was watching me. I stepped back. My foot caught the edge of one of the stones, and I stumbled. Thing didn't move, but the fog around it thickened, and I thought I saw more shapes in the distance, just barely visible, watching, waiting. I didn't run at first. I walked fast, back down the path, trying not to turn around. But with every step, the silence followed. I reached the village, reached the B&B, and the front door was open. Neve was standing in the hallway, candle in her hand. She looked at me and at the empty space beside the door where the plate had been. She didn't ask what I had done. She didn't need to. She just placed the candle in the window, drew the curtain shut, and told me quietly but firmly that it wasn't mine to interfere with. Not when it came to tradition. That night, the fire wouldn't stay lit. I tried 3 times. Chimney was clear, no smoke, no spark, just dead ash. Around 3 a.m, something scraped across the window, not tapping, dragging, like nails or bone. I didn't look. Pulled the blanket over my head like a child. In the morning, the plate was back by the door. The bread was gone, and the milk had turned to ink.
It's spelled Samhain. Most people, especially outside of Ireland, pronounce it like it looks, Samhain. That's how I always said it, until I talked to someone who actually knew, and they corrected me. It's pronounced Samhain, rhymes with cowin, and once you learn what the word means, what the night means, the wrong pronunciation starts to feel like a warning. Samhain is one of the oldest and most mysterious festivals in human history. Long before Halloween existed, before pumpkins and candy and costumes, there was Samhain, the Celtic New Year, a celebration of death and darkness, and a night when the boundary between the living and the dead disappeared. It was held at the end of October, during the transition from the harvest season to the long, brutal cold of winter. To the ancient Celts, this wasn't just a shift in weather, it was a shift in reality. October 31st was a liminal night, time out of time, when the walls between worlds thinned like mist. On Samhain, it was believed that the spirits could cross into the world of the living. Some were ancestors returning for warmth and remembrance. Others weren't so kind. To keep these wandering dead at bay, people lit massive bonfires on hilltops, disguised themselves in animal skins, and offered food to whatever might be wanting from the dark. Fire was sacred. Every hearth in the village would be extinguished on the evening of Aillén. Then after the communal fire was lit, through a ritual, families would take that flame home to relight their own, symbol of shared protection, unity, and survival. It wasn't just ghosts they feared. In Celtic lore, the Aos Sí, the Fae folk, powerful and often cruel, were also said to walk freely on Samhain night. Fairy mounds were avoided, doors were locked, mirrors were covered so spirits couldn't slip through their reflections. And offerings, bread, milk, apples, coins, were left on thresholds, windowsills, and crossroads. Not out of generosity, out of respect, and sometimes fear, a bribe to keep the hungry dead moving on. These weren't quirky customs. They were safeguards passed down over centuries. And to the people who kept them, they weren't just tradition, they were necessary. Understanding Samhain as it was truly practiced means understanding a worldview where the dark wasn't just the absence of light. It was a presence all its own. Not all who crossed over on Samhain were content to be remembered with bread and milk. Some came far hungrier. One of the most feared among them was the Slúagh. They were said to be the souls of the unclean dead, cast out from both heaven and hell. Unlike peaceful spirits, the Slúagh didn't return to be honored. They came in swarms, riding on winds that curled in from the west. Gaunt, bird-like figures with wings like tattered sailcloth. They roamed the skies in search of dying souls. Windows on the western side of the house were sealed tight on Samhain night, not to keep the cold out, but to keep the Slúagh from slipping in and stealing the breath from a loved one's final moment. Then there was the Aillén, sometimes called the burner. A figure of myth, yes, but no one's terrifying for it. Each Samhain, Aillén was said to arrive at the hill of Tara, the ancient seat of Irish kings, playing music so beautiful and hypnotic that all who heard it fell into an enchanted sleep. And once the land lay silent, he would breathe fire across the stone, reducing the halls of kings to ash. His eyes glowed like coals, his skin shimmered with heat. He wasn't a mindless beast, he was joy in destruction, art wrapped in annihilation. The Púca was harder to categorize, mischievous to some, malicious to others. These shapeshifters could appear as dark horses with eyes like embers, or as wild dogs with dripping black fur and human voices. Some legends claim the Púca would speak riddles and omens, twisting your future with half-truths. Others said if you rode one, you'd never find your way home. But a few stories, even older, warned that the Púca would sour milk, kill livestock, or curse the crops if offerings were not left at the edge of the land. And then came the Aos Sí, the fair folk, but not the cute kind. These were the old ones, the hidden people, beings older than Christianity, older than myth, lived in the earth and the stones and the dark. On Samhain night, their world bled into ours. The doors to their mounds opened, and any who strayed too near risked being taken. People vanished in the mists, reappeared years later, or not at all. The Aos Sí didn't kill in anger, they punished for arrogance. They took what was theirs, and if you interrupted them, mocked them, or ignored the proper rites, well, you might leave an offering the next year, or someone might leave one for you. Some of these stories might sound like warnings for children, but to the people who lit fires on Samhain night, who wore masks to confuse the spirits, who whispered prayers and locked every door, they were more than stories, they were rules. So how did we get from this, an ancient night of spirits and fire, to Halloween. When Christianity spread across Celtic lands, it did what it often did. It adapted. The church established All Saints' Day on November 1st to honor the saints and martyrs. The night before became known as All Hallows Eve, which over time was shortened to Aillén. But the timing wasn't a coincidence. The church knew the people wouldn't easily abandon their Samhain traditions, so instead of erasing the festival, it layered a Christian observance over it. Old beliefs and new ones coexisted. The result was a cultural hybrid, Christian in appearance, pagan in its bones. Over the centuries, as Irish and Scottish immigrants brought their customs to America, the traditions of Samhain continued to evolve. Bonfires became jack-o'-lanterns. Disguises to fool spirits became costumes for candy. The offerings on the doorstep turned into trick-or-treating. But even beneath all that commercialization, the echoes of Samhain remain. The fear of the dark, the respect for the dead, the masks, the symbols, the rituals. They didn't disappear. They just changed shape. Halloween in its modern form may be playful, but its roots are deep, older than the church, older than carved pumpkins. It began as a night of caution, of offerings and fear. A night to stay inside, and for some, it still is. Samhain isn't just an artifact of ancient belief. It's a reflection of how people once lived with death, and how some still do. In rural parts of Ireland and Scotland, candles still glow in windows on October 31st. Plates are left out, names are whispered at the table. It's not loud, it's not for show. It's for memory, and maybe for protection. Beyond fear, Samhain was also a night of vision. Divination was common. Apples, nuts, mirrors, tools meant to reveal what waited in the shadows of tomorrow. It came at the end of the harvest, when the fields lay empty, the earth turned cold, and the world itself seemed to pause. Time to honor the past, glimpse the future, and accept that everything, crops, animals, people, must pass through darkness before spring can return. We dress it up now with candy and costumes, and most who celebrate Halloween never give a second thought to its roots. But when the air goes still and the fire burns low, that ancient silence returns. It hums beneath the laughter, a whisper in the branches, a shape in the mist.